Welcome to Girl Bible, hosted by two women who aren't afraid to dive into anything and everything. This podcast is all about exploring life, laughing through the chaos, and finding common ground with people from all walks of life. No topic is off limits, no vibe is too weird. Come hang out with us every week for real talk, random tangents, and plenty of laughs.
Alrighty, welcome back to another
Grab
episode.
grab your coffee, your chaos, and let's get into it. Today's episode is about God, spirituality, and manifestation. So I
Yep.
think we should start by giving like just a brief background on what we believe, and then we'll kind of get into it more as the episode goes on. Did you want to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. My religious background isn't super long. It's pretty short. I grew up Catholic or Christian, whatever you call it. I don't really see much of like a difference in between the two, but I know there's like different words people use, stuff like that. But that's basically my religious background. Other than that, nothing really else.
And I also grew up as a Catholic. I was raised Catholic. I was baptized in the church. And then I went through First Communion, the whole thing, confirmation, all of that. And then as I grew older and actually dove into reading my full Bible, I was like, you know what? I'm not just going to follow these things because that's what my parents told me to do and that's what the church told me to do. I want to know what I'm actually following. So I read my entire Bible front to back, and I kind of gained some new insight there and steered myself away from what I would consider religion, because I view religion as that each individual like church and their beliefs, and steered more towards a broad view of believing in the Bible, believing in God, believing in Jesus. And then I did my yoga certification, and it opened my mind up even more because I had to read this beautiful book, the Bhagavad Gita, also called the Gita for short. And it opened my mind up to like Hinduism and those beliefs as well. And I saw so much overlap between the two that it kind of expanded my worldview in a way of viewing God and spirituality not as this one necessarily entity that you can only get one way, but it opened my eyes to the idea that every religion is kind of thinking around the same basis, if that makes sense. And
Yeah,
so I think the idea of God is there all across the board, but then people start getting kind of technical with what their beliefs mean. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. So, speaking of that, we were going to touch on the Bible, the Gita, and then I added in The Power of Now because it is such a spiritual book. I feel like it's one of the most life-changing books you can read, especially if you're in a down spot, you know? It's for those folks. And I don't know if you want to say anything about those or if you've read any of
I
those.
I actually have not read any of those. I'm not as big of a reader as I wish that I was, but I'm kind of interested to hear your take and see if it's something that maybe I would want to tap into a little bit. And I also just want to add that, like, just because I have, like, said that like, I grew up Catholic Christian, I don't, like Keisha was saying, she kind of had her own journey of like, doesn't really pin herself down, and I don't really pin myself down either. And like, just like everyone else, I interpret the Bible in a different way, kind of thing. Like,
That
I
makes sense.
yeah,
No, that makes complete sense. And I feel like it's such a journey. It's like a lifelong journey. You when you're little, you have the beliefs that your parents instill in you, and then as you grow up and experience the world, it kind of shifts and changes your own perspective and your own
for
beliefs
sure,
100%.
for sure.
That's like the beautiful journey of life. So, I did want to touch on just the overlap between, I would say, all three books really. So I'm not counting, obviously, The Power of Now as any sort of religious text by any means, but I will say that the spirituality in it touches on things and talks about Jesus in the book first of all. Second of all, it talks about this non-attachment, which you'll find in the Gita, which you also find in the Bible, but in a different way. They don't necessarily call it non-attachment,
Yeah.
but the idea of like, don't be so attached to the material world and the outcomes that you're seeing right here, right now, rather than releasing and surrendering to a higher power, whether that be God, Jesus, whatever you're believing in, Krishna, if you're reading the Gita, the Buddhists have their own beliefs. Whatever your higher power is, if you just relinquish control and believe in that higher power, you'll be so much more at peace in your mind. And I was obsessed with all of it, all of that, because I feel like, especially in today's society, we're so laser focused on everything that's happening right in front of us. We can't even like take a deep breath and feel outside of ourselves. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yes. Well, I love that. I love that, like, what you just said is, like, leaning into a higher being, something, like, not so right in front of your face. I think I touched on a different episode, and I maybe said that I'm super into, like, everything happens for a reason,
Yes.
and most of the time, when stuff isn't going my way or I don't like the way stuff is turning out, I just have to be like, "You know what? This is happening for a reason. I just have to accept it and move on with whatever's going on." So,
Exactly. Logan
yeah.
is a master at that. Let me just tell you that as somebody who has watched her since she was literally 12 years old, she is a guru at accepting things that most people, in my opinion, most people see like a closed door and it really affects them. But she can turn any closed door or any opportunity that's not for her into a learning lesson. Do
Oh,
you feel like
thanks, man.
that's
Yeah, I actually would feel like that's a pretty accurate depiction of, like, my mindset in that, like, you have to just move on. You have to either like because everything things happen, bad things happen, and they suck sometimes. And either you're gonna take it and you're gonna, like, let it affect you in the best way possible, or you're gonna take it and let it affect you in the worst way possible. And just life is too short to, like, not be not just try everything and go at it, like, full speed and not think about all the crappy stuff that has happened to you in the past, in my personal opinion.
it's so true, and it literally encompasses exactly what all of those books are talking about, the
Mhm.
art of surrendering to the moment and just letting it be and being at peace with it and not feeling attached to one outcome or the other, whether it's good, bad, ugly. It's like, of course, we're gonna celebrate the good because it feels good in the moment, but to be able to accept the negative when it's happening to you and just let it be and say, "Well, that wasn't the outcome I was hoping for, but I know there's a reason for it, and this closed door is actually so that I can pivot and go through this
And
other open
yes,
door that's a better
exactly,
opportunity for me."
exactly. And
And
sometimes when I am really just, like, I can't with the situation, I just have to think to myself, like, "How privileged am I to just even have that opportunity anyways in the first place?" Like, maybe it didn't go the way that I wanted, but, like, how like, I'm so grateful to at least have these opportunities to try these things and have them not work out, you know, because that's not always the case.
that was so beautifully
Oh,
said. I'm telling you,
thank
she's
you.
a little spiritual guide. She's a
I don't
just
know.
a 21-year-old person who has so much wisdom, and I've learned so much from you.
Well, thanks, I've learned a lot from you as well.
I did want to talk quickly about what I'm going to call religious ruiners,
Mm,
because
snaps
I
for this
just
topic,
I
because we
feel
need
like
more
yes,
coverage
there
on this, like, we need to talk about this more, I feel
is
like.
an ugly group of folks. Okay, it's gonna be broad because it's not a certain color, creed, whatever, but religious ruiners are the people who claim to be the most in their faith and yet are turning people away from God and giving people the biggest ick when it comes to finding God because they're so close minded in their religion religion, not spirituality, not their belief in God, but their religion, that they believe that if you don't follow XYZ that they're doing, that you don't deserve God's love. And to me, that is that's the worst crime you could commit on this planet, because your one job, if you've read the Bible, by the way, if you're claiming to be religious, have you read the Bible? Because
Have
nowhere in
you?
the
No,
Bible
that's
have
a
I
serious
seen
question.
that you get to stand on your righteous pedestal, wagging your finger down at other people for not doing what you're doing. Shame on
Yes.
you.
Judge like, "Thou shall not judge thy neighbor." That is
Literally.
also a sin. Like, you saying, "Okay, well, you're not doing this enough," or "Your perspective on this is wrong," that's a judgment. Like, that's a like, you're also sinning. Like,
It
you're not
literally
perfect
reminds me
either.
in the Bible when they drag that harlot out into the street, she's been doing the deed, whatever, getting down and dirty. And they drag her into the street and they're like, she deserves to be stoned. And Jesus says,
Yeah.
okay, let anyone who has not committed a sin throw the first stone. Mind you, he's Jesus, so he knows. He knows what you've been up to. And everybody there that's holding a rock ready to stone this woman has to set it down and walk away because they know they've been up to no good too. It might not be the same sin. It doesn't matter. A sin's a sin. It's all the same. You are not more righteous than another person. And it also
That's
reminds me that our friend Jesus, yeah, our friend Jesus did not turn away from folks that are living what you might consider to be an immoral life. Those are the people that need him the most. So if you're a true follower and a true believer, then how dare you feel like you are better than somebody else because you go to church or you tithe or you did this or that or
yeah.
you follow whatever you think the scripture says, because nowhere in there does it say that God turned away from anybody.
Mm-mm.
Nowhere in there.
And
So
my thing is also, just because you practice religion one way doesn't mean someone that you're helping get into it, or, like, someone who's, like, asked you, doesn't mean they have to do it the exact same way or else it's wrong.
exactly that. Exactly
Like,
that.
good on you for, like, helping someone and just showing them, like, "This is what I like to do. This is, how I pray," or, meditate or preach or whatever scripture you like to get into. Doesn't mean,
Yeah,
like, just because that person isn't doing step by step what you're doing, doesn't mean that it's wrong.
or that they're less worthy.
Yes.
So I just wanted to say that for any listeners out there, if you have not had an encounter with God, you are not there in your life journey yet, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. Life is a journey, and
And
I do not stand with religious ruiners who point fingers at other people and think they're lesser than, because that is the opposite of everything that I've learned from every religious text I've ever
right.
read.
And if you ever run into one, just run the other way. Don't even stop to look at the mess that they are, just run the other way. Just don't even waste your time, just keep it pushing, in
And
my personal
also,
opinion.
don't don't blanket them as a representation for all people who believe in God
Mm-mm.
either, because I promise you there are good people out there who genuinely want to carry out God's mission and spread the word so that everybody can feel that peace and covering. That's the whole goal, is that you know that there's more to life than just this physical embodiment that you're in right now, because I know it's tough out here. It's tough out here no matter how well off or um down bad you are, it's tough out here in this 3D earth world that we're in. So the whole point is to just teach everyone that God loves you no matter what. You have another life coming and peace will be
Yes.
yours.
Yes, that's the other thing is, like, I never once felt in my entire life that, like, this is your only lifetime. Not that I'm saying anybody else has to believe that either, but
Yeah.
I love the idea of reincarnation too, and so
Yeah.
that's half of it, is that I just love the idea, and I hope that one day I'm a freaking butterfly, bro. Like,
Yes!
or just
I
like
swear I was once.
I know, and that's also my favorite thing, like, when people, like, also pass, I love it when like, my grandma has always said that my grandpa is like those big yellow butterflies,
Yes, we
and
saw one
somehow
today
yes!
on
Oh my
Father's
gosh,
Day.
and like, I'm talking my grandpa, like, Keisha's husband's dad, and I'm telling you, they always show up when they need to show up.
Yep, it's true.
Did Dan see it? Was Dan there?
Yes, we were in the
Oh
car
gosh.
and we were actually driving to get our little coffee drinks and it flew right in front of our windshield. It was a big, huge yellow, like it looked like a monarch, but it was yellow. It was huge.
Yes.
It was giant.
Yes. Yeah, they look like monarchs, but they're yellow, that's the thing, and also we're recording this on Father's Day, and
Yes,
so that's what I mean.
I know.
Like, I couldn't tell you the last time I saw one. I'm sure it was more recent than I think, but they show up when it feels so convenient, and, like, stuff like that just makes me think,
It's
"God, I hope."
serendipitous.
Yes, I hope there's something else out there more than just what the 3D Earth. I loved
Yes,
that. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
So,
100%. I think it's as simple as if you love people the way that Jesus, God, loved people. Like, do you love God the way Jesus loved God? A. And then do you do the same thing? It says, love God with all your heart, mind, soul. Second thing, love your neighbor with all your heart,
yep,
mind, soul, body,
yep.
spirit.
No matter what they're doing or what they believe.
Exactly that part.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
I
So
always say I
we can
have,
keep it
like,
short and sweet.
exceptions. Yeah,
Oh,
we can. I always say that I have acceptance. I always tell people, I will n which this doesn't obviously, this I'm judging in this I'm not saying I'm perfect either, but I always say, "I will never judge you unless you're racist, sexist, or homophobic." Like, that's where I draw the line. I'm like, "Get out of here." Not in, like, I think you're a horrible person, but, like, I just don't think that I need to be in the same space. Like, we don't need to be having like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
I just
no, I
don't
get what you're
agree,
saying. 100.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, obviously, they're not gonna be your BFF, your friend, you're not gonna hang out
Yeah.
with them in any capacity, but it's like, you're not gonna harbor hate,
Mm-mm.
so it's a little bit different.
It is different.
Okay, I did wanna ask you, do you feel like Christians fear being judged and are therefore staying quiet about their beliefs right now? I feel like there is a huge wave now that there's influencers and content creators of Christians who almost stay kind of quiet about their personal beliefs to remain more broadly liked. And maybe I'm wrong, I could be completely wrong, but I do feel like there's a huge wave of creators that would rather stay silent on their personal beliefs for fear of being judged. Good, bad,
Oh, okay,
ugly.
interesting. I don't know I don't know if I'm on that side of, like,
The internet.
media. I don't know if I'm the
Yeah,
internet, like,
I feel
and
like I'm in the older lady group, so maybe that's what I'm
well,
talking.
I that's interesting though, because I feel like I don't know, you can still like, what bad beliefs or, like, what are they being judged for necessarily?
I don't think they're being judged, I think they want to have a broader following, so you stay quiet on what your personal beliefs are, if that makes sense. So if you
Oh,
have
okay, just in general.
millions of followers, but you don't tell them, like, you're super religious, whatever, you're
Right.
really faith-based, then I feel like it keeps the door open for more people to follow you, like, in the millions of followers. However, the minute you share, sometimes you fear losing followers based on your personal faith-based
Oh,
belief.
okay.
Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah. And I guess I don't necessarily see anything wrong with not saying what your religion is. And I guess maybe you could say, well, it's kind of weird, like you just want all these followers, blah blah blah. But like sometimes I don't think religion needs to be in everything. Like I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's how my
Just
sister feels for sure as well.
yeah, just because I'm like, just because if I follow you because I like your fashion, If that's and maybe you wanna rebrand. Maybe that's
Yeah.
what you wanna do, which would be fine. Like, I don't think I don't you know what I'm saying? Like, what's your
Yes.
niche? I think it depends for me,
I
you
like
know?
that. That's a good explanation for it. Because for me, it's, like, hard because I'm such a believer that I feel like if you have a big platform, especially in this day and age, it's so easy to almost be a missionary without leaving your house. You can spread God's love and the awareness to so many more people. Even if it's subtleties, you don't have to exclusively talk about religion every single post or be like, "Oh, I'm doing this for Jesus," or whatever, and be like a Bible thumper. But at the same time, I feel like when you have such a massive platform, you could use that for such good, beautiful,
Mhm,
God-spreading work without ever having to
mhm.
leave your house.
Right.
That's my, like, conflicted opinion on it.
Which
Does
is,
that make
I think,
sense?
a super yes, makes sense. Super valid opinion, and I think most of the time, those people who are unfollowing those, like, influencers because of their religious beliefs is probably because they've met one of those, like what did you say?
Yes.
You described
I
it
called
so
him
well.
a religious ruiner.
A religious ruiner. Because, of course, if you have an influencer and maybe you don't know God and you see it and you're like, "Oh, okay, I really like this person. They seem
Yeah,
very, they seem like a good person, like, maybe I'll check this out."
yeah.
But I feel like if you see someone and, like, they say that, but you know someone personally who, like, does all
Yes,
these ucky things, then I would probably be like, "Yeah, no." Like,
true. That's just true.
so I agree with the okay, you could spread, like, God's love from the comfort of your own bed. Like, you don't even have to go outside. You don't have
Literally.
to do anything, like, that's all of that is lovely and nice, but I just think it goes back to religious ruiners, like,
True.
they ruin it. They ruin it for everyone, like
I know, but that's why I feel like it's so important for the religious ruiners to speak up and show God's love in the most beautiful way, how it was intended to be, so that because I feel like the religious ruiners, no offense, they're the loudest. They're the loudest ones.
they
They're
are. No, no,
always
no,
the
they are.
loudest, and so that's everyone's perception on, like, the Christian people,
Mhm.
and that's what ruins it for everyone. I'm like, "You are the loudest ones in the room, and therefore everyone, like, views religion and faith and God and Jesus this way because those people are always on the freaking Facebook chats and they're writing on your page, they're just ruining it. And
Mhm.
they're becoming the spokespeople for Christianity when in reality there's a lot of people out
They're,
there
like,
that are
a
complete
horrible
opposite.
representative, like and with every
Exactly.
religion with every
Exactly.
religion,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you
exactly.
can look at, like, LDS and, like, FLDS, and, like,
Yeah.
when most that come to mind to me are not, like, the people that I know that live in my town that are Mormon and that are
Yeah.
very nice and that have
Yes.
like, never even, like, looked at anybody wrong, you know what I'm saying? But then you
Yes, they're
see
so sweet.
Netflix documentaries and
Yes,
you're just
and
like,
you're like, "Oh my gosh, you're
"I
spreading a
just"
terrible message." I did want to wrap up the episode by talking about the benefits of everyone sharing their beliefs, just because I feel like, yes, okay, I think it's great if you wanna keep your stuff private, that's fine. I'm not judging you for keeping it private by any means, but I did wanna talk about the benefits of everyone sharing their beautiful beliefs, whatever that belief is.
yeah. I mean, I agree, I feel like if anything, if, like, that's truly how you feel and it's most of the time it's probably gonna be pretty pure and, like, probably help someone else out
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
And I feel like the more you hear about other people's beliefs, you're connected to people. You realize that people, regardless of what they're believing, we're all human. We're all searching for a higher power, a higher source. And we have more similarities than we have differences.
Mhm. And I just think knowing how someone's point of view, whether it be religion, any other topic, is such a good way to get to know someone. That's, like, my most favorite thing to do. I love hearing
Yeah.
other people's perspectives, hearing what they think on a topic. Even if I don't necessarily agree, I just think
Yes.
it's good to know what other people think, especially if they're your friends or someone you're just meeting. It's good to know to figure out, like, where this relationship could go, how that person could potentially feel on another topic, just stuff like that. I
And it reminds you that everyone here is on their own journey. So just because I view things one way, the person right next to you could view things through an entirely different lens, and that's okay too, but everyone doesn't have to fit into this little box that you deem life.
Mhm,
Also, you never know who needs to hear your message. I feel like sometimes God puts things on your heart, on your mind that you need to say, and you might think nothing of it or you might want to stay quiet on it, but you never know. I hear so many stories of people discovering God or finding out about spirituality all from hearing someone else's testimony. And they're like, oh my gosh, I needed that message right then and there when I received it. And if you
mhm,
stay quiet and you never talk about it, you could be missing out on changing someone else's life. You literally never
mhm.
know.
No, you never know.
So, let's end there. We got into some juicy topics and we have another juicy episode coming up after this. So, hang on. Okay, babes, that's the tea, the sermon, the whole dang chapter for today's episode of Girl Bible. If you laughed, nodded, gasped, or even whispered, OMG, same, at any point, then my job here is done. Don't be shy, hit follow so your podcast app serves up fresh wisdom every week like it's your spiritual espresso. And if you've got a sec, drop a review. It helps more fabulous weirdos like us find our way home. Want to keep the combo going? Come say hey over on IG at Girl X Bible. Seriously, slide into the DMs. I do not bite unless it's over snacks or opinions on zodiac signs. Until next time, remember, you're the main character, the plot twist, and the moral of the story. Stay bold, stay weird, and stay flipping iconic. This is Girl Bible signing off.